Just going to just wait a few moments as we get on, and they're telling me that they're reaching out to you to let you know that I'm going to be doing a Facebook Instagram live. The concept that we're dealing with, family, is health and nutrition. You know, brilliant brother Neely Fuller, who was very special to Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. She considered him someone, we might use the word mentor, but he was a colleague, and he wrote a book titled the Compensatory Code to White Supremacy. And in this book, he outlines 9 areas of importance, areas that could act as departments or ministries of a people, and how having the right people in those particular ministries, those particular areas, would help you be able to shape your community and the things that you'd like to develop. And one of the things that I saw in looking at these 9 areas, very important, phenomenal work that he did, but I just asked permission from my professor, Neely Fuller, to add one. But just to look at the 9, I used the acronym RELSELWEP, RELSELWEP. It's called a mnemonic. A mnemonic is something you use that helps you remember something. And RELSELWEP, the first one is religion. The next one is economics. The third one is labor, the idea of being able to hire your own, develop a working system that helps you develop your community. The SEL, the S stands for sex. I thought about the word. I understand his use of it, but because of the overuse of it, I tend to want to call it gender issues. I keep the S, but instead of sex, which means gender, as far as he's concerned, and gender issues, that's the S. The second E is where I am. This is my lane. This is where I feel comfortable. That's education. And then the second L, Sel, is law. That's very important. That's an area that we must come in contact with, and have our young people become lawyers and also know Moorish law. But we'll talk about that at another time. And then the WEP is war or security. Because quite frankly, you can own as much as you want. You could be the richest person in the world, but if you can't protect it, you really don't own it. You're just holding it until someone stronger than you can come and take it from you. So you need security, concepts of war in terms of defense. The third E is entertainment. This is an area where our entertainers come together, be they in the sports industry or in Hollywood or in movies, documentaries, whatever it is. And then the P stands for politics. We need politicians. And what I'm noticing is that we're getting some politicians out there now that have their head on. I'm thinking of a couple now. I don't want to throw names out because then that just puts everybody in a place. But I do recognize that there are some that are coming to the table with their people's intentions at heart, even though the system is what it is. They are coming to the table looking out for their people. But I'd like to add a 10th, and that's really why I've come to speak to you today, because I notice there's a little chatter out there talking, and people are talking about, and they're developing concepts, and what I add is health and nutrition. And in many ways, I don't want to say which one is more important because they're all important, but I will tell you this. You can have all those other 9 areas in place. You can have phenomenal religious leaders, economic leaders. You can have the greatest psychologists and sociologists working on gender issues. You can have politicians that are up there standing for you every step of the way. But the bottom line is that if we're sick, it don't make a difference what those other 9 areas are. We need to understand health and nutrition. When I was teaching in the Board of Education, I was I didn't have a car, so I used to take the bus to work and home. And here in New York, there is a newspaper, a weekly newspaper, African American newspaper called the Amsterdam News, and I have a subscription that I used to get it. And on the bus, I would read it. And starting in the mid 80s, going into the 86, 87, when I would read the Amsterdam News, there was a discussion of a brother who had claimed that he could cure HIV and cancer and other diseases, and they charged him. And they brought him to court, and I read through his trial as he was going through the different things. I would hear different things, and and some of the names I noticed in terms of people that would say that they were that they had become successfully healed by his regimen and what he developed. And his name was Dr. Sebi. Now, I don't know, I do not think that Dr. Sebi went to medical school and got a degree. And so therefore, if people would like to challenge whether or not he was a real doctor, whatever, because I'm looking at some things right now, and these are some real doctors doing some real stupid things, but that's beside the point. The idea is that the people called him doctor because he healed them. And who am I to speak? Because people call me doctor, but I don't have a doctorate. I got the title Dr. Kaba. I have 2 master's degrees, but I don't have a doctorate degree. And the only reason why I went for the master's degree was because it helped me in my occupation as a teacher. Both of my degrees in history, I got my license to teach through that master's, and I was an administrator, director of programs, and my second master's in education supervision got me that. I would not go for and spend my time going for a doctorate degree in an accredited college. However, I used to stand on the corner of 125th Street, and somebody would stop me and we'd start talking about culture, history, Africa on the corner of 125th Street, Malcolm X Boulevard, might have even been up on Adam Clayton Powell Boulevard, where, we would stop, we'd have class. You could go on YouTube right now and you see me standing out across the street from the Apollo Theater, and I'm talking. And so as time went on, people would pass and they say, who's that? They say, oh, that's that doctor that teach about Africa. And pretty soon, Dr. Booker T, this was before I corrected my name, they say, oh, that's Dr. Booker T. The people gave me that. And to me, I honor that more than any other possible degree I could receive from an accredited college. When the people call you that, then you're in service to your people. And that you're doing something for your people. For that, that's how I honor Dr. Sebi, and I honor his wife, Dr. Ma'a. I call her Dr. Ma'a because on October 1st, 1988, I got on the bus, I had my Amsterdam News, and I sat down and I read, and I saw that Dr. Sebi, as far as I'm concerned, had won his case. However we want to play with English language is one thing. I saw it as he won his case. And he won his case because he presented an argument that nobody could argue with. As I read, I have the article. I still have the article. And I'm underlining it and everything. But I was taken back by it. October 1st, it was a Wednesday, 1988. I remember because the Amsterdam News came out. And they used to come out on Wednesdays. October 4th, that Saturday, I was in his office, 616 Pacific Street. And I've been with him and now his wife, Dr. Ma'a. And I'm still, I'm taking products right now for the blood system, for the immune system. My cleansing, I'll be doing a cleansing soon because the season is changing now. And I've been doing this since 1988. And if, if my math is right, we're looking at quite a few number of years. from 1988, October 4th until now. There's a lot that I could say. The human body is such that once you put something in it, it will react to it. And every body is different. And it reacts differently. And I cannot speak for other people. And I do not speak for other people. I can only speak for myself. And I cannot guarantee that, something may befall me and I may get ill. No one can say. But I do know that I have had a healthy life for the years that I've been doing this. Do I attribute it to Sebi? Yes. Do I attribute it to the way in which I live my life? Yes. All of it is important. And that is what health and nutrition is. But here's something that Dr. Sebi, and what I'd like to do is just talk to you about a couple of things that Dr. Sebi taught me that have penetrated my consciousness that I will never forget. Because everyone's taking products. You can see it. Everybody taking products here, taking this. You're taking it for this. You're taking it for that. You're taking it to lose weight. You're taking it to gain weight. You're taking it to have a good memory. You're taking it, to offset this or that. All these other things. And okay, I understand. But the one thing that Dr. Sebi taught me, and the thing that Sister Dr. Ma'at tells me frequently, even to this day, healing starts with self-love. Healing starts with self-love. To love yourself. You look in the mirror. The person you see may not be who you want to look like. The one thing you should never say is, I hate how I look. If anything, you should love how you look. But say to yourself, there are things that I can do in my life to make me feel better. To help me look the way I believe I was born to look. But whatever you do, you have to do it in the name of love, not in the love of hate. Because you can always find something to hate. When you watch some of the commercials on TV, they literally have most people feeling so inadequate and so less than. And the people doing it are worse than the people that they are trying to get to purchase their items. As I look at this system, I look at the concept that's called cancel culture. What I'm looking at is a system that really hates itself. And that everything it does through fear and through hate. But the greatest success comes from self-love. That when you look in that mirror, you may not look the way you want to look. But what will help you become who you wish to be is the fact that you love yourself enough that you want to make yourself feel a certain way. And that is one of the fundamental and foundational principles that Dr. Sebi taught me. Whatever you do through self-love. You can take all of the products you want. You can take all of the different things that are going to make you feel this way and feel that way. You can take them all. But if your mind ain't right, and if you don't feel a certain way about yourself, those products ain't going to do nothing for you. And then you're going to blame the products because you're not getting the result that you want. But you, within yourself, have those self-doubts. The Judas is working on you. You're not letting the Messiah come forward. And so one of the things that Dr. Sebi taught me was healing starts with self-love. And if we could start there, then everything else works with us. Self-love. And you do what you do because you love yourself enough that you want to make that change. Whatever that change or correction or whatever else it may be. Only you know that. Self-love makes it happen. Lesson number 1, he taught me. Lesson number 2, he taught me. When you're hungry, okay, and you feel those pangs of hunger and you want to eat, you think that you're hungry for food, but you're hungry because your cells need oxygen. those hunger pains that you feel, well, pangs or whatever, that you feel when you're real hungry, wow, and you're walking in the street and you can smell that food and all sorts of things are happening, you think that you want food. No. This is how I'm thinking of this. This is my thought. How accurate I am, I'm sure it could be more accurate as time goes on, but I'm accurate right now. You are not hungry for food. Your cells are asking you for oxygen. They want to breathe. And they need the nourishment to allow them to breathe. Now, one thing you can do, carry water with you. And when hunger, that's why they tell you to maybe drink some water a half hour before you sit down to eat. Because why? Because you will satiate, you will satisfy that hunger when you drink water. Why? Because water is H2O. It has oxygen in it. So you are bringing oxygen to your system. That cuts down on the concept of being hungry. So that if you drink, I'm not going to say how much water, but if you drink water, should be substantial. You know, I mean, it should be maybe 4 ounces, 6 ounces, 8 ounces. I cannot speak on that. That's up to you and your system. But if you drink water, you're bringing oxygen into your system because of the nature of H2O. Oxygen is there. The idea of eating green things is very good because green things give off oxygen. So when you eat a nice green salad, and also Dr. Sebi said, don't put so much stuff in there. Some of these salad, okay, I understand. You know, we all go to these salad places and they just throwing they have, like, I've seen 20 different things. And then they mix things around. Okay, you know, tomatoes, cucumbers, and lettuce is not the same thing. One is a fruit, one is a vegetable. If it has a seed, it's a fruit. Cucumber is a fruit. Tomato is a fruit because it has seeds. Lettuce is not. Lettuce is a vegetable. Dr. Sebi encourages us, don't mix it because the enzymes that break down fruit are not the enzymes that break down vegetables. You should also not put too many things in there because the way your enzymes work to break down the food, to bring it to your system, to give you the oxygen that you need to breathe, many times when you're eating a whole bunch of things, the enzymes don't always break down the same thing. So you eating this and then your enzymes break that down. Then you eating this and the enzymes are breaking that down. You eat so that you're kind of confusing your enzymes. Enzymes will break everything down, but you want to give the enzymes a chance to be able to work their show. This is what I began to learn as I moved through the process. It is not just what you eat, it's also when you eat it and how you eat it. That was the other thing Dr. Sebi taught me. When I'm hungry, it's not that I'm hungry for food, it's that my cells are asking for oxygen. And have you ever noticed that sometimes you go out and you hungry, right? And you sit there and you order all the food that you want to eat. I'm not going to put nobody on the spot, but you just eat and you eat all that food. And then an hour later, you hungry again. Well, the reason why you're hungry is because you did not satiate, you did not satisfy the oxygen need. You filled your stomach, but you did not give your body the proper oxygen that it needed. So that's why it's so important to know what it is and how to implement your eating program. Another thing is we have lunchtime and we have dinner time, but that's not always right because you may not be hungry at 12 noon. So then you force yourself to eat at a time that your body's not saying, yo, did I ask for this oxygen? I didn't ask for this right now. I mean, thank you for sending it, but I didn't ask for it. Well, it's lunchtime, so I got to eat because I'm getting off and I have this half hour to eat. And at 1 o'clock when I'm really hungry, my body really needs oxygen. I can't be on break. So you force yourself to get into a system of eating at a time when your body and everybody's body is different. Your biorhythm's different. You may be hungry at one time during the day when other people are not. And vice versa. But because we live in a society that breaks everything down into lunchtime, dinner time, and telling you what to eat, how to eat, when to eat, I'm not even talking about what you're eating. So I'm going to leave that alone because that's not the point that I'm trying to make when I'm attempting to honor really what Dr. Sebi and Dr. Ma'at legacy has left us. The third and final lesson that I'd like to share with you, I learned a whole bunch, tell you the truth. But the third lesson is exactly what happens when your body begins to malfunction. What is disease? And Dr. Sebi used to always say, dis-ease is the overaccumulation of mucus in one particular area of the body that begins to kill the cell, the living cell that was once living. It's in you, it's living, it's powerful. But then, through sequence of events, could be anything, oxygen doesn't get to the cell. The cell is craving the oxygen to breathe, just like we would if we could not breathe. It's craving. And pretty soon it doesn't get the oxygen and that cell dies. It's suffocated because of the accumulation of the liquid systems in the body. And in that happening in the human body, to you, that living cell begins to kill the other cells around it. Since it has died, it becomes a burden and it kills the other cells around it. And it begins to kill and kill and kill. And pretty soon, when it kills enough cells, it is a tumor. It is a growth. It's a hardened part of once was a living cell. And that if you lived a certain life that frequently brought oxygen to the body, and if you intook the proper nutrients for your body, that it would on its own bring the proper oxygen at the time that the body needs it. And in fact, you could create a storage system where when your body needed a certain amount of oxygen, that it could draw from that storage unit in your body. That's the other thing that I learned from Dr. Sebi. And so, family, our bodies, our melanated bodies, according to the degree of melanation, I'm talking about the human family now, everybody, but I'm specifically talking to us as an African people because I am black first. We have to get our health and nutrition together. This is something I realized years ago. I realized that no matter what I may know in my mind, no matter how I may be able to teach our community, if I'm sick, I'm going to be ineffective in certain ways in getting that word out. And I'd like to live as long as I possibly can. And be it a gene situation within the genes, or whether it is just something that befalls me. I can't control what's outside of me, but I can control what's inside of me. And that's something that Dr. Sebi used to tell us. You can make the change if you so chose. But it begins with self-love. It begins with the concept that you would like to do better for yourself. And in so doing, you then take the type of regimen that will take you to where you need to go. So, I'd like to just honor Dr. Sebi for what he offered us, and I could use other names also, people that I've known, people that are still living with us today that are doing great work. But I'm going to stop there because my point is, I'm looking at the chatter of what people are saying. Okay, but I just need you to know that I've known Dr. Sebi for 30. Well, he has now joined the ancestors. But my relationship with Dr. Sebi and Dr. Ma'at goes back, now that we've passed October 2021, it goes back 33 years. I knew Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi, I consider to be a friend of mine. And the work that I did with him over the years, following his regimen, listening to his presentations, going down to wherever he was in terms of the Usha Herbal Institute. I spent those 33 years in deep study of Dr. Sebi, nowhere near his expertise or Dr. Ma'at. But I've learned enough about health and nutrition, as I've learned about all the other 9 areas, that we have to take care of ourselves. And that when someone comes amongst us with a concept that teaches us something, we all have to realize that as human beings, no matter what may happen, there are hills and there are valleys. Dr. Sebi did us a great service in talking to us about the African biomineral process and how our bodies are different from others. And I just wonder now, as we are here, I just wonder, what would Dr. Sebi tell us now? Knowing the way he guided us through the other illnesses and the other viruses, what would Dr. Sebi tell us now? Now that we're at this point, I just contemplate that. And just like my son and I have done documentaries on Malcolm X, what would Malcolm do today? Harriet Tubman, what would Harriet do today? Fannie Lou Hamer, what would Fannie Lou Hamer do today? I also ask, what would Dr. Sebi say and do today, understanding what we're facing? And I just want to pay homage to him and what he represented, and to all of the health nutritionists who are now with the ancestors and who are also still living amongst us, dedicating their lives to attempting to get us to understand our health and nutrition and how we got to get this together. We deserve better as a community family. And we need to get off each other's back. We need to start to love each other. We can disagree and not be disagreeable. And we can be unified and not necessarily have unity of thought. Diversity is very interesting. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But when you're rude, then we have a challenge. We have got to learn to respect each other and give each other that room to be human. And I'll end with this, because this is what Dr. Clark told me. And I've said it before. But I really had a great deal of respect for Dr. Clark. Almost to a point of, like, idolizing his knowledge, his wisdom, his love of us as a people. It was something that I strove to replicate. And I remember one day, Dr. Clark and I were together. He must have said something, and I looked at him like, wow, like I was really honoring him. And he said, Booker T, he said, don't put me on a pedestal. He said, because the higher you put me on that pedestal, the further I'm going to fall when you find out that I'm human like everybody else. We tend to put people up on pedestals. And then when they show themselves to be human, then all of a sudden we have a problem. But it's not their fault. Their human frailties are human frailties. It's us who put them up on the pedestal that made the mistake. We put them in a place where they did not ask to be, and yet we held them accountable for how our expectations of them were. And therefore, when this happens or that happens that does not reflect what we thought of them, then all of a sudden we have a problem. But that's the problem. We got the problem, not them. They never asked us to put them on the pedestal. So as we move through this process, we honor Dr. Sebi for all of his greatness and for all of the things that made him a human being. Because Dr. Sebi was a human being, trust me. He was humorous, he was funny, he was sarcastic, he was bold, he was audacious, and he didn't care. He just did his thing. And that's how he lived. And that's how we join the ancestors. And to that, I pay homage to the Creator. And I thank the Creator for bringing Dr. Sebi to us at a time that we really needed him. And his teachings we need more now than ever before. But remember, health and nutrition is very important. Take care of yourself. And be careful out there. Stay healthy and stay safe. Keep on keeping on. It ain't over till we win. And remember, for our children's sake, the future wealth of the planet is solar power. Teach them the sun, because we are children of the sun. Hotep family, have a great evening. Peace.